Hi, my name is Jonathan Hicks. I'm at the UK Games Expo 2022, and today I'm joined by
Matt from the Dice Cup.
Just finished playing Catan, Dawn of Humankind, which is essentially Catan. You'll recognise the sort of familiar tokens on the board, and you have settlements that harvest resources when you roll the dice. The resources are slightly different in this, so we've got meat, bone, hide and flint, but you're using them in similar ways. So for instance, I can build a settlement, if you like, by paying these resource costs here, but the difference here is instead of building roads, you're building explorers. So you have these explorers that you build on the map. So to build a new explorer which will go next to one of your sort of existing camps, you need to pay a hide and a food, and then on your turn you can pay a hide or a food to move your explorer. And there's a few sort of technology tracks in this game. So for example, this track here, you start off at the beginning of this track, and when you move your explorer, you can go up to 3 spaces. So if I were to pay a hide or a food, I can then move this guy 1, 2, 3, for example. And you obviously need to get him into a position where you want your settlement, because you can then convert this guy, converts into camp by paying the stuff. So he would come off the board, and you'd put one of your camps on the board and replace it like that. So that's kind of how that works. There's a few key things though. You can only build these camps on the sort of fruit or flour, or I think over this place is the potatoes, and you're trying to accumulate those, so you don't actually get points in the game for having the settlements by themselves, but each time you build a new one, these things that you claim give you a victory point. This is the victory point symbol. If you collect one of each of the different types of fruit and veg and things, then the first person to do that gets this thing, which is worth 2 points. If you do that later on in the game, you'll get this one, which is just worth 1 point. The other technology tracks are quite important. You're spending resources like the bone and the flint, for example, to move up on the trick. So it costs a flint to move up on this track, which gives you better tent making skills. Then it would cost a bone to move to the next space. And the reason you want better tent making skills and better clothing skills, which is what this track is for, is because you want to claim these resources around the edge. You get these kind of mammoth tokens and things here, but there have requirements. You need to have certain skill in clothing and tent making to be able to go into these reaches. But when you take these tokens, sometimes they can be worth a victory point, sometimes it gives you another bonus, sometimes it can do a negative effect. So this will actually remove, of this terrain type, one of the tokens. So if your enemy is like, oh, I don't want him to have this, you can remove it off the board. Now that only works for these sort of Africa segments. The rest of these are pre-printed, so these you cannot take off the board. So you need to keep moving around and exploring the rest of the world, because the starting sort of resource numbers here are going to be removed gradually off the board. But you can also, whoever has the most of these tokens around the edge of the board, a bit like the longest road token, gets this, and so they will get an extra point that way. As with Catan, you're racing to get 10 points. There's all the trading and everything else, but essentially you're exploring, claiming as many tokens as you can, and then trying to get to 10 points. What do we think?
So it is a very Catan-like experience. So if you like Catan, you'll like this. I think it does add a bit of an interesting element to Catan. But if you don't like Catan, then you probably won't like this. It's got the same randomness with the dice rolls and stuff. And we did have a situation where we had a third player who's not in the video. He didn't have any settlements on a 5, and in the early rounds he rolled a 5 twice, I rolled a 5 once, Jonathan rolled 7s and stole his resources, so he was kind of scuppered at the start of the game, and there was nothing he could do about it. And that's the thing that happens in these Catan type games. So if you don't like that, you won't like it. But if you're a big Catan fan, as many millions of people are, this adds an interesting element to it. So yeah. I would say, for me, I'd say 6.5.
Yes, it does everything you'd want Catan to do, but it does feel different enough from Catan. It's a step up in complexity, but not much. So if you're happy with Catan, this is very easy to learn. If you're playing a Catan style game for the first time, I think you could jump in with this if the gamers have played other sorts of board games. Catan itself would be a better gateway game, but only slightly really. I feel like this, if you already have Catan and you want sort of Catan but more stuff going on, more to do, I think this does a great job of taking you to the next level, if you like. There's some nice sort of twists with the travelling, but essentially you feel like you're doing very similar things much of the time. So I think it's very solid. Personally, I would be on a 7 out of 10.
All right, thanks for watching.
That was Catan, Dawn of Humankind.